I acknowledge that my family and I live on the unceded territory of the Squamish people. I appreciate and I'm grateful for this land and the connection I feel to it. Hi, I'm Heather Gallagher, and I'm so excited to be here in a collaborative leading role. Today, I'm putting two of my favorite things together, teaching and math. I feel so fortunate to be at GHE right now, working with you and this group of children. I know that this team places the utmost importance on creating a safe space for our students, which is even more important during this time of uncertainty. Now, more than ever, every child needs to belong to their class. I hope I'm not alone in saying that I have a lot of diversity in my class. And at times, I struggle to meet the academic needs of all my students. Can anyone else relate to this? The purpose of today's presentation is to explain how Universal Design for Learning, UDL, is an ideal framework for meeting all students academically in math and creating a sense of connectedness to the class. During this presentation, I will explain Universal Design for Learning, outline the benefits of using UDL in any classroom, explain how UDL connects to our school's goal, our district's mission, the BC curriculum, and First Peoples Principles of Learning, as well as outline the steps that we're going to take collaboratively to wrap each student up in math. Universal Design for Learning isn't just differentiating work. It is designing, teaching, and learning so that all students can be part of a lesson. Lessons have clear expectations to meet the unique needs of every learner. The design is based on creating expectations for all, for most, and for few. Universal Design for Learning, as defined by CAST, an organization with the singular ambition of eliminating learning barriers, states that there are three aspects of the UDL framework: engagement, representation, and action and expression. Engagement: students vary in the ways in which they can be engaged or motivated to learn. There are a variety of sources that can influence individual variation in affecting, including neurology, culture, personal relevance, subjectivity, and background knowledge, along with a variety of other factors. Some learners are highly engaged by spontaneity and novelty, while others are disengaged, even frightened by those aspects, preferring strict routine. Some learners might like to work alone, while others prefer to work with their peers. In reality, there's not one means of engagement that will be optimal for all learners in all contexts. Therefore, providing multiple options for engagement is essential. The second, representation. Learners differ in the ways that they perceive and comprehend information that is presented to them. For example, those with sensory disabilities, learning disabilities, language or cultural differences, and so on and so forth, may all require different ways of approaching content. Others may simply grasp information quicker or move efficiently through visual or auditory means rather than printed text. There is not one means of representation that will be optimal for all learners. Providing options for representation is essential. And then thinking about action and expression. Learners differ in the ways that they can navigate a learning environment and express what they know. For example, individuals with significant movement impairments, those who struggle with strategic and organizational abilities, executive function, those who have language barriers, all approach learning tasks very differently. Some may be able to express themselves well in written text, but not speech, and vice versa. It should also be recognized that action and expression require a great deal of strategy, practice, and organization. And this is another area in which learners can differ. In reality, there is not one means of action and expression that will be optimal for all learners. Providing options for action expression is also essential. A UDL framework ensures that students have different modes available to them to access information, so audio, reading, video, Lessons engage the information in a meaningful way, and there are flexible ways for students to show their learning. This is a lot of information to digest, so I have a handout for you to have as a reference. The areas of growth for the school fostered by the implementation of a UDL framework in math would connect all students to the curriculum and have them feel like they are part of the class. This feeling of connection begets more connection and investment by students. It would also lay the foundation for collaboration amongst teachers within the school, shifting the culture of teachers working as islands to a stronger team approach. Students are encompassed by the UDL framework. We are going to look at the makeup of our school community to see who is going to benefit from Universal Design for Learning lessons. Our total student body is 552 students from K to 6. Within that, there are 13 English classes and 10 French immersion. There are 12 students designated in the school as ELL, although in my grade 5-6 class, there are 4 languages other than English that are spoken as first languages at home. Students with IEPs, there are 30, and there are 11 students who identify as First Nations. When I surveyed teachers, they identified 90 students who had exceptional needs of some sort in their class. Universal Design for Learning connects directly to our recently updated school goal. It states, "We will create a safe and inclusive learning community by designing a learning environment that is accessible to all students. Students will learn and apply skills to think critically about who they are and how they can grow as learners." It's as if our goal and UDL were written together. Universal Design for Learning connects to our district's mission, provincial curriculum, and First Peoples Principles of Learning. Our mission at SD48 states that we are committed to engaging all students with personally relevant and flexible learning, empowering them to acquire the competencies vital for success in their future. Connecting to UDL, making learning accessible for all kids. In provincial curriculum, under concept-based competency-driven curriculum, British Columbia's redesigned curriculum brings together 2 features that most educators agree are essential for 21st century learning: a concept-based approach to learning and a focus on the development of competencies to foster deeper, more transformable learning. These approaches complement each other because of their common focus on active engagement of students. Deeper learning is better achieved through doing than through passive listening or reading. Similarly, both concept-based learning and the development of competencies engage students in authentic tasks that connect learning to the real world. This is Universal Design for Learning, and we can see that British Columbia has created a curriculum that falls under this framework. Connecting to the First Peoples Principles of Learning, one states learning is holistic, reflexive, reflective, experiential, and relational, focused on connectedness, on reciprocal relationships, and a sense of place. This place can be school and the classroom, where students feel like this is where they are meant to be. It's also important to keep in mind that effective teaching of math includes teaching using problems to be solved, encouraging students to work cooperatively with others. Students should work in groups for problem solving using mathematical thinking skills, and that activities are structured in ways allowing students to explore, explain, extend, and evaluate their progress. Importantly, there's self-reflection too. Developing a collaborative culture with staff. We'll need to work as a team to collect and analyze data to move forward with UDL to support students. To get this initiative started, a small but mighty team will need to form and go through survey responses. This small team will help move the initiative of implementing UDL in math classes by completing data analysis. Seeing the number of students who are not connected to math will establish a sense of urgency to change practices. Our enthusiasm will spread and be seen in our classes, as well as when we work with other teachers to help create frameworks for student learning in classes, co-plan with teachers, model lessons, complete supportive lesson observations with feedback, and collegial support to stick with it while trying UDL within classes. We are fortunate to be supported by our administrator with time. Universal Design for Learning promotes a growth mindset. Students will develop a growth mindset through instruction. This mindset will transfer to other aspects of students' lives at school, at home, and in other extracurricular activities within the community. Following are the steps we're going to take for implementation of Universal Design for Learning at GHE. After this presentation, 4 or 5 teachers are needed to support this initiative by joining me on this small but mighty team to analyze information and help lead the initiative forward. Our team's first job is to collect and analyze data on how students feel about math class, and their ability to learn, as well as collect and analyze data on how teachers feel about reaching all students, what are some methods used, what is their own feeling about math and teaching math, as well as their openness to teaching using a UDL framework. The important step is to see where there are holes that students see themselves slipping through or ones that teachers notice. This is where I anticipate to see our school's specific need for creating greater connection for many of our students, especially our most vulnerable. Once analysis has happened, the principal will support by giving a time at our next staff meeting. At the next meeting, you'll hear the results of the survey. Examples of UDL lessons will be shared and modeled. I will offer up times where I can come in and teach, support, plan to implement UDL. I'll do this by providing planning documents, example lessons, future Pro-D opportunities. I can come in and teach lessons to classes and hold planning sessions. Moving forward, teachers are asked to have 1 math lesson a fortnight that is based on the UDL framework. For ongoing attention to this initiative, I will check in with teachers informally once a month. I will offer ongoing support, such as teaching lessons, planning, or having teachers observe my lessons. This will go on from February through to the end of May. Nearing the end of May, teachers and students will complete the same math survey as the one in January. Data will be collected and analyzed by the math teams, comparing results from January and May, looking for growth in the area of connectedness and growth mindset. The results will be reported to all staff in June. For those of you who also develop a sense of urgency with this topic, I will provide some independent learning that can be completed over the summer. There are books, websites, people to follow online, and videos to help expand knowledge on the topic of UDL. To assess the efficacy of the implementation of UDL in math classes, students and teachers will be asked to reflect on their learning, work, and experiences. Both students and teachers will complete the same survey as in January, so responses can be compared. The math team will be specifically looking for markers indicating improved connectedness to class, material, and growth mindset in math. For teachers willing to have classes or lesson observations, those watching will explicitly look for student engagement. Through teacher interviews, we will be collecting data on student growth when it comes to class assessments such as assignments, exit tickets, and projects. Every day, we need to keep in mind that we are responsible for the learning and success of every student in our class and universal design for learning is a way to ensure we are doing the best for our students. It is the right fit for our school. The rationale for making the shift to teaching math using a UDL framework is to create an environment where all students belong and feel successful. Together, we can make math class a place for everyone, where our lessons wrap around all students. Thank you.